It's not a sport for the faint of heart. Wheelchair lacrosse has come to Buffalo in a big way as Riverworks hosts the sports national championships.
We have 7 teams from around the country here, as well as our Buffalo team, local team that we just started probably about a year ago.
The Sled Hockey Foundation teamed with the Buffalo Bandits to form the area's squad.
As far as a team sport, competitive sport, we really haven't had that opportunity here, and we really wanted to bring something else unique and different to Western New York for athletes to do during the summer.
Adam Page, who won Olympic gold with the U.S. national sled hockey team, is suiting up and trading his sled for a chair.
It's a lot rougher, I think, than sled hockey. I love being physical in hockey and as well as lacrosse, so the hand-eye coordination, kind of switching over from hockey to lacrosse, it's all awesome.
And anyone can play this game. Adam Millar is one of Buffalo's able-bodied players. He says he's had a great time putting a new twist on his favorite sport.
It's a good atmosphere. Everyone's so welcoming. They're just so friendly. We go out there and we just play our hardest. There may be some scrums and stuff, but then at the end of the game we can all just be friends. We can shake hands and just, it's a great time.
The team assembled less than a year ago and now is competing for a national title on its home turf.
Happy to bring it here for the awareness and give others the opportunity in Western New York to see that this is available to them.
Hopefully the Buffalo team will show well and have a chance at the championship. So.
Now each team will play 4 games and the playoffs will be tomorrow afternoon. And the winner, the person who comes away on top, will take home this beauty. This is a hand-carved trophy made by Tuscarora Woodworks out in Lewiston. Now, as you can see, it's got everything you'd want, even working wheels. So there's bragging rights, there's the love of the game on the line, but I'd be disappointed if I didn't get to take home this work of art.
It was getting pretty high. We looked out the window and it was getting really high. It's in my basement, in my garage.
More rain Thursday night meant more flooding along Lake Ontario, and heavy winds and waves knocked out many of the sandbags that stood as the last line of defense between the lake and people's homes.
Sandbags had lost their appeal and they had lost their ability to stop the water. So all the water from here and all the water over there was coming in.
The fire department was out here replacing all the sandbags, rebuilding the walls that got damaged from the heavy waves, and also putting up some new walls to try to protect the area, to protect the residences from further flooding.
Friday, work continued as crews laid more sandbags and worked to pump water out of backyards and basements.
A lot of what you saw last night or early afternoon yesterday, you saw a lot of flooding, a lot of wave action, a lot of water into the streets and around residences. Really has been alleviated today with the new sandbags put in place and also the pumps that have been running around the clock.
Schultz says it's been all hands on deck for more than a month. And for residents like Carol Verlicki, her quiet life on the lake hasn't been so quiet.
But you try to listen to that 24/7, you gotta wear earplugs to sleep and things like that. But it's sad.
Schultz says one of the major challenges has been fatigue, with crews working long hours to try to keep up with the flooding. One solution has been to bring in reinforcements.
Like last night, the fire chief worked to bring in 8 different departments to help and assist with them to do the operation, so that we have a great deal of manpower to work through it.
It's work Verlicki says she's grateful for, but with no end in sight and fear of future flooding, she and her husband have considered leaving the area.
A quiet little town that my husband came to retire in, and it turned into this.
In Olcott, Mike Arena, Spectrum News. Thousands of volunteers from companies all over Buffalo flooded into the KeyBank Center and then packed onto buses Wednesday, headed out to service projects around the city as a part of the United Way's Day of Caring.
They're going to be dispersed to about 190 different projects in the community with 138 nonprofits. So it's really an incredible number if you really think about it. Just the mass volume of people that are going to be out doing good in the community today.
We followed a crew from the University at Buffalo that headed out to help the Service Collaborative of Western New York with its Beds for Buffalo project.
Essentially build 100 beds for children in need. Today we're going to be working with a group of volunteers from the University at Buffalo, and we're starting the step 1 of the process of essentially building our end and side rails of the bed.
The volunteers got a quick tutorial and then were on their way. They trimmed, sawed, and sanded the wood that would eventually become bed frames.
I've never used power tools before, so it's kind of exciting today, but they showed us how to use it and be safe and productive.
This was the 25th consecutive year of the Day of Caring locally. The United Way of Buffalo and Erie County has given nonprofits like the Service Collaborative more than 450,000 volunteer hours, saving them about $8 million in labor costs.
It's really an opportunity to engage volunteers and show them what the nonprofits do in our area, as well as what kind of impact volunteers can have on a certain organization or a certain population that we're trying to serve.
And while woodwork isn't necessarily easy, volunteers here tell me they were just happy to get out of the office and to give something back to the community.
A lot of the different programs we're all going to, a lot of us wouldn't know they existed if we didn't get the opportunity to come out for the day and do this. So I really appreciate learning what's going on in the community.
In Buffalo, Mike Arena, Spectrum News. It was a little after 9 o'clock Friday morning when the SPCA got an unusual call from the Amherst Police. There was a sheep on the lam near Tonawanda Creek Road.
There's really no graceful approach when it comes to a stray sheep. We kind of split up, tried to divide and conquer, and a sheep, any animal like that is going to outrun you.
Officers tracked the sheep into the woods adjacent to the road. Their goal was to capture the woolly wanderer, but they had to proceed with caution to keep him out of harm's way.
Two really big hazards there. One is obviously the road, and the other was the creek behind the houses. We didn't want them in the water either, so we wanted to keep them away from those two areas as much as we could.
The sheep eventually emerged from the forest on one side of Tonawanda Creek Road. It then ran across the street, and you could hear the screeching of the brakes as cars tried not to hit it. It then ended up in the backyard of a residency on the other side.
We wanted to kind of fan out and just slowly try to corner it in between the two fences.
Now in a contained space, officers were able to surround the sheep. From there, Jaworski did her best Little Bo Peep impression and shepherded the wayward sheep to safety.
My primary goal was just not to let him go. You know, we had him, he was safe and sound, nobody got hurt, so that was a good day.
The SPCA brought the sheep back to headquarters where he was given a bath and a haircut. Because he was so elusive, officers nicknamed him Gronk after professional football player and Buffalo native Rob Gronkowski. Gronk will be held at the SPCA for a couple of days. If he's not claimed by his owner, he will be put up for adoption. In Amherst, Mike Arena, Time Warner Cable News.
I have a passion for chocolate. Everyone who knows me knows that. They see how much I eat and they see how much I create.
For about 30 years, chocolate has been Daniel Johnson's life.
First there's chocolate and then there's family. I know it's supposed to be the other way around, but I botched it.
For 15 years, Johnson worked as a chef. In the early 80s, he turned his attention to chocolate and focused his culinary skills on the cocoa bean.
I learned ingredients, and when you match them, they have to be similar enough so that they don't fight one another. Ginger and lemon is a great one, and that comes in dark chocolate.
Johnson has been the owner of Choco Logo Confectionery Design since 1990.
I'm running 3 more caramels today. I'm not making any more truffles.
In 2004, Johnson moved his factory and shop to Broadway, where they've made chocolate treats ever since.
I make these chocolates. Look at this. Can you see how good they are?
Everything had chocolate everywhere, and it was just amazing. It was just, and the smell. You could smell the chocolate.
But Johnson says he's had enough of the grind of being owner, manager, and creator.
It seems that small business in America is changing so fast. In order to keep up with it, you have to work at it 40 hours a week. And I would prefer to work 40 hours a week making chocolate.
The shelves in the shop are close to bare, and Johnson doesn't plan to restock. He's put his recipes, assets, and store up for sale.
My hope is that somebody with the same passion that I have takes it over, because there is a skill set to it. But beyond the technique, everything else is your imagination.
But Johnson says the end of Choco Logo isn't the end for him and the candy he's loved for more than 3 decades.
Endorphins in chocolate give you a release, a freedom that a few other foods have.
Johnson plans to close up shop for good by the end of April.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful 30 years here. Time to go.
In Buffalo, Mike Arena, Spectrum News.